Good evening and welcome to Artist Profile. Tonight we'll be featuring Dwight Dawson, a great bassist and a very good friend of mine. Tonight he will be discussing music theory, bass technique, and his time with Carol Kay, one of the premier studio bass players and teachers. So here's our show for this evening. Thank you for viewing. Could you discuss some of the techniques you use for playing the bass, please?
I would love to, Ken. For a typical fingerstyle playing, I like to find a place to rest my thumb and then alternate two fingers, sometimes three, sometimes four. This hand needs a little more attention because there's one tendon for your index finger, one tendon for your middle finger, and then these two fingers, your ring finger and your pinky, share one tendon all the way to the elbow. So going like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 4 frets, strenuous. It gets tiring rather quickly, actually. When I learned this, I learned to isolate those two fingers. So it's 1, 2. Notice I'm using the pinky finger with my ring finger right next to it. Slide up to the next fret. Learn your technique that way, and you will be able to play longer with less fatigue.
And I recall you saying that you should use a hair tie. Is that true?
I'm glad you asked, but I don't happen to have a hair tie handy. But anything that you can wrap these two fingers around, because if you're used to doing the first way I showed you, where you're spreading these two fingers out, which is very difficult to do. You might remember that thing where you have somebody lift one finger and it's light, that finger's light, and then that finger weighs a ton, but notice it's easy when you lift both of those fingers. So by tying these two fingers together with something soft, like I think I first started with some parachute rubber bands that are used for packing parachutes. They're big rubber bands and they're not too strong or not too thick and they don't hurt. And that way I was able to do them.
You're quite the skydiver, as I understand, aren't you?
I have done 429 skydives and walked away from most all of them. See, it's not the skydiving that hurts, the impact at the end that can really hurt. Be careful.
How about the
Yeah, the thumb, I was taught, put my hand in front of me and just set it down the way your hand normally sets. That's the way your hand should look on the back of the neck. If you didn't see what I did it, look up the Blues Brothers, the chicken wire scene where they're in the bar, and there's a shot from behind the drummer, and you see Donald Duck Dunn playing the bass. And
One's a great bass player.
One of the world's greatest bass players. God rest his soul. And he's doing it that way. You can play longer and smoother and easier. You're thinking, no, I can do 4 fingers. I'm a tough guy. I can do it. Believe me, I'm a tough guy. And when I learned this technique, it made it much easier to play the bass for extended periods of time.
So how much pressure should one use on the neck of the bass?
Just enough to hold the string in place without, and it shouldn't quack or anything with it. The properly set up bass should be reasonably easy to play, but because the strings are so big and heavy, if you're trying to macho man it through like you were playing little guitar strings, you'll get tired quicker.
How about the difference between using a pick and finger technique on the right hand?
Nothing wrong with using a pick. When I met First Lady of Bass Carol Kay, I asked her, first question I asked, settle the bet, string the fingers over the pick. And I still remember the way she said, oh, well, here's how I play on, and she gave me an example of a song that she played. Actually, it was Feeling All Right by Joe Cocker. And the bass line of that was, to me, when I first learned to play that song with some friends down the street, that became the quintessential bass line that if people from another world would have landed in their spaceships and said, let me hear this thing you call bass groove, I would have had to put that record on.